So 2023 has come to an end, so it's time for me to talk about what games I have played and enjoyed in the year 2023. Now, I will only be talking about games that I've personally played, and I will be ranking them based on my own opinions, okay? So if you want to follow along with me and give me your own tier list, feel free to do so in the comments down below. But I will only be talking about games that have come out this year, 2023. So let's start with the obvious. So the first one that comes to my mind, of course, is Resident Evil 4 Remake. And I want to actually put this on S, but okay, I'll put it on S, but I'm kind of unsure because I do think that there are games out there that are better than RE4, and I'll talk about that in a second. So, Resident Evil 4, of course, I am a huge fan of Resident Evil. I've played every single one of them all the way through, except 6. And I really liked the original Resident Evil 4, and I thought it was one of the best ones, and they managed to make it even better. In my own opinion, Resident Evil 4 is one of the best remakes and one of the best ways of remaking a game and making it more modern and modernized to today's standards. And the gameplay is very replayable. I really liked the Separate Ways DLC, was great. I absolutely love everything about Resident Evil 4 Remake. The unlocks they're all right, but if it were up to me, unlocks should add extra gameplay hours. In Resident Evil 4 Remake, my only complaint, I guess, is that the unlocks are just kind of weapons that really don't make your gameplay that different. Other than, mowing down enemies with the Chicago Sweeper, which you can do with the TMP and the cat ears already. So to me, that kind of feels a bit redundant. So, but I'm not going to be picky, but everything about Resident Evil 4 is amazing. It's not exactly super scary, but it did manage to become scarier than the original game, which was kind of more on the action side of things. Now, don't get me wrong, RE4 Remake is still action horror, but I think they did a wonderful job at balancing the action and the survival horror aspects of the game, and I think it's amazing, and I'm very excited for RE5 Remake if it does happen. And yeah, I'm very excited for more of more remakes or more Resident Evil games, of course. Anyway, next up we have Dead Space Remake. I will start with S. I know I'm kind of starting S backwards, but Dead Space Remake, absolutely amazing. I played the original game. I haven't played 2 and 3 yet, but I plan on doing so. But yeah, Dead Space 1 was great, for the time. I think it came out in 2008, and I think it's amazing. I think it's a wonderful game. And I'm so glad that I decided to play it because it's in my top 5 games of all time in survival horror. So yeah, I think Dead Space is a wonderful remake, and I'm very excited to see if EA or whoever is in charge of this game decides to make more. Next up, we have Armored Core. So Armored Core, I will put Armored Core on B, mostly because I really enjoyed Armored Core, okay? I really like From Software games, Souls-like games. I know this isn't a Souls-like game, but it has elements of it. I do like the customization and all the builds and all that. It's really cool, but it kind of felt like, to me, it wasn't my type of game, so I'll admit it is my own preference. So maybe it's a perfect game for you, but, I felt like the gameplay was kind of like, it was so good that I wanted it to be longer, and I wanted it to have more depth. But I understand that this is how the original Armored Core games were, and I think from having watched some gameplay of the old school ones, I think it's definitely an improvement, and it definitely captures that essence of the originals while still doing something new and leaning more towards the Souls-like genre. So I think it's definitely a game that if you're thinking about trying it, try it maybe when it's on sale. Or if you don't care about sales, just get it and try it. But it's a bit different from Souls, but it has similar things to it. Next up, we've got Amnesia the Bunker. Amnesia the Bunker surprised me quite a bit. So I'll tell you a little bit of a story with this game. So I actually never really cared too much for Amnesia games. I tried the Dark Descent, and I really didn't care for it because I, those of you who are fans of mine, will remember that I like survival horror games when they are spooky, right? When they're scary, not when they just startle you with jump scares. And so I was a little bit on edge, not on edge, but I was a little bit on the fence about trying this game. But I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I tried the demo, and I purchased the game right after that. By the way, it doesn't happen always where I try a demo and I purchase the game right after. But yeah, I digress. Amnesia the Bunker is an amazing little game, and I say little because it can be completed in like 20 minutes or 30. And that might sound like crazy, like might sound like a negative thing, but it really isn't. Every run in the bunker game is random. It's different every time. Item locations, passwords, things that happen in the game. It's like an escape room, okay? So every time you jump in, you will have a different experience. And that is a plus for me. I absolutely love the replayability of a game, which isn't something that you always get from a survival horror game. I was I was gladly surprised by this game, and I'm very, very, very grateful that I decided to try it. Without going into too much detail, it's a very spooky game, and it rewards you for learning. And if you know me, I absolutely love learning how dissecting a game and how mechanics work. Failing and trial and error. That's one of my favorite things about the game. About games. And I think Amnesia rewards the player for thinking and for being quote unquote smart about things. And I really, really like it about it. And please try it. If you're not easily scared, please try it. It's very immersive, very scary. The only reason I don't put it on S is because it's short and I really wanted more. But I think the replayability makes up for the length of the game. And it's very, very, very cool. So try it. Anyway, next up we have, let's see here. So Jedi Survivor. I'm going to put Jedi Survivor on B. Jedi Survivor started out as a little bit of a bumpy start. It had a bumpy start at the beginning. I remember it was kind of laggy even on PlayStation. The graphics were kind of, they were all right. I'm not picky with graphics. I like retro games. But I absolutely love the character of Cal Kestis, all of the cast, all the characters in this game, in Jedi Survivor, and, Fallen Order. I had played Fallen Order. I really enjoyed it. And it's one of those games that I never thought I would like, and I'm so glad I tried. And yeah, Jedi Survivor is on B because I just felt like I'm not one for quote unquote, open world games. And there, I think there's a, I think there's a correct way of doing open world, and at least for me, in based on what I like, and I feel like Jedi Survivor really doesn't do a good job at that. Like it requires you to do a lot of backtracking later. Like you find a box, a container, and it says you can't open this right now. And you have to just assume that later you'll get a tool, and then like 20 hours later into your game you'll get the lightsaber or whatever special tool that can open that one container. So I don't mind that too much, but it gets so repetitive with that stuff, you know what I mean? I want to be rewarded for branching out, and if I see a path, right? I see there's a wall run over there that I can get to a secret thing, and I get to the secret thing and I can't open it yet, I'm disappointed, right? So what I want is if I see a secret, I get to it, I find it, and I should be able to get it whenever I want. So that's my major, complaint with it. Other than that, I really like the story. I'm very excited to see Cal Kestis in live action. Hopefully, I'm not a super huge fan of Star Wars, but I really like it, and yeah, I'm excited to see where his story goes after the game. Anyway, next up we've got, let's see. I'm trying to see what other games I've played here. Okay, I could talk about this game for hours. Okay, Alan Wake 2, but I'm gonna talk about another A rank game, Lies of P. Lies of P is a great game that had a very bumpy start, and I'll briefly talk about that. So Lies of P, when it first released, it I was very excited about it because, like I said, I really, really enjoy Souls-like games, and I've tried other Souls-like games before that weren't from by From Software, and they kind of didn't hit the mark. So I was hopeful for Lies of P, which is made by a completely different team. I think it's NeoWiz, and I hadn't heard of them before, so I was a bit on the fence about it. But it looked amazing. I was very excited. It looked like a mix between Bloodborne, but Pinocchio puppets. I was really intrigued with the puppet thing, and it looked amazing. The animations looked so clean. I tried it and it was great. I decided to purchase it after buying the demo, after playing the demo. But when the game actually came out, there were major balance issues. I decided to do a strong boy uh, build and motivity, and it was kind of not working out for me. And I thought I wasn't using the correct weapon, so I switched weapon, and I still had the same experience. I played all the way through with the best motivity weapon in the game, and it just was kind of like it took me 50 hours to finish the game. And then I played it with technique, and it took me like 10 hours or less. So that should tell you something about it. But anyway, Lies of P had a huge bumpy start, but now it's fixed. It's better now. If you play as a technique build, you'll have a ton of fun, but I can't guarantee that with other things. But yeah, I just wish it was more balanced from the start. Enemies wouldn't drop stuff. They would mostly drop things that weren't useful for you, like star fragments, and they still kind of do, even though they tone it down. The souls or ergo rewards, the things that you use to level up, they kind of it wasn't balanced enough. Like I would spend 30 minutes trying to defeat a boss, and then I finally defeat it, and it dropped like 2,000 ergo, which wasn't even enough for me to level up. So I'm glad they toned that down a little bit, like they made it better. But it still feels like the progression still feels like it's kind of it needs some more balancing, but it's way better now. Like you can actually have fun with the game now. And yeah, that's my opinion. Lies of P is a great game. You should try it. It's not too difficult. It definitely rewards you for your skill. I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of the best Souls-like clones. So yeah, it's worth trying, and I'm happy that I decided to give it a go, because yeah. So Baldur's Gate. Okay, Baldur's Gate won Game of the Year in 2023 at the Game Awards. Okay, so okay, first of all, let's talk about that real quick. Game of the Year shouldn't reflect what you should and shouldn't like, or what is better. Like, it doesn't mean this game is better than the others. It's just a show. It's just based on popularity most of the time. So it really doesn't mean anything. It's just out of all these games, this one got the most attention, basically. So that's how I see it. But anyway, I tried Baldur's Gate. I really tried to enjoy this game, but I came to the conclusion that it's just definitely not for me. I'm not made for these games, and I have a lot of patience. So it's not that it's all about action for me. I really like getting invested in characters and all that stuff, but I just couldn't enjoy Baldur's Gate 3. It's just, for me, I really like the amount of personalization and customization in the game. Like, that's top notch, like one of the best I've experienced. But in terms of enjoyment, I personally really didn't care too much for it. It's interesting though. It really piqued my interest, and I definitely want to get into it in the future, maybe in my own time without streaming it or whatever, so I can enjoy it at my own pace without worrying too much about being boring and stuff like that. So I can tell you, in my own opinion, Baldur's Gate 3 looks amazing, and it's great, but I prefer other types of games. So that's why I'm putting it on C. Once again, this is my own tier list. It doesn't mean something sucks if I put it on C. It just means I haven't enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the others. So I think this is Final Fantasy, right? So I was kind of meh with Final Fantasy. I didn't finish it because I don't know, man. I've always been a fan of Final Fantasy games, but I just, after you've experienced in my opinion, after you've experienced one Final Fantasy game, you've kind of experienced them all. They're all kind of cut from the same mold. What is that? How you say it? They're all cut from the same cloth. I think is how you say it. It is a different experience. The cinematic battles with the summons are amazing, but just couldn't get into it too much because the story kind of felt like cookie cutter Final Fantasy story. And I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but if I'm trying a new game from a franchise, I expect similarities, but not the whole entire story again, just slightly different. And that's how Final Fantasy 16 felt for me. I'm a huge fan. Like, my favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy 10. And I really enjoyed Final Fantasy 8. I played it on the original PlayStation 1, and for 10, I played it on the PS2 back when they first released. So I really enjoyed 15 also. Really, really cool. I felt like I was very invested in the characters, but for 16, I just couldn't get into it at all. Maybe it was the setting. I really didn't care too much for the setting of the game. I think it's like medieval fantasy, which it's okay, but I've played like a million medieval fantasy games, so it's really difficult to top the other games. Uh, when you've already enjoyed the same genre on a different separate game. That's all I have to say about the game. I do like the pixel sprites because I make pixel art, so I really like that. And the graphics looked amazing, the characters looked amazing, but like I said, the story just couldn't care too much for it. So let's talk about what I think is game of the year, in my opinion. If there was something higher than S, I would put Alan Wake on S. I feel a little bit meh about putting it on the same level as 4, RE4, because in my opinion, I know this may come as a surprise, but in my opinion, Alan Wake 2 is way better than Resident Evil 4. But that's my own opinion based on the things that I enjoy. I think Alan Wake 2 is a masterpiece of a game. And it has flaws in terms of gameplay for sure, but everything about Alan Wake is great. The storytelling, the graphics are amazing on PC. The graphics are amazing. You feel so invested in this world, in this story, in the characters. Like Saga, for example. I didn't think, for example, I didn't think I would care too much for her, but I ended up understanding her character and actually liking her. And Alex Casey, of course. We have what's his name? Sorry, Sam Lake, the man, the myth, the legend behind the actual game. The creative director in for Alan Wake 2 at Remedy. But yeah, this game, everything about it is amazing. The music, the sound design, the art design, the rain, just being under the rain, exploring the dark place, the voice acting, everything is a 10 out of 10 for me. The only thing that doesn't get a 10 out of 10 for me was the gameplay could have used a little bit of more fine tuning in terms of fighting things. Like if there's a big horde of enemies, like spoiler alert, near the end of the game when there's a lot of enemies and you have to fight them, it is amazing, hearing the music in the background, Dark Ocean Summoning. That song is so baller, but that doesn't reflect the gameplay because the gameplay was more slower paced, So hearing the song being all hype about killing stuff, but the gameplay shooting mechanics were kind of slower because they went for a more realistic type of movement and all that, which is great. Inspired by the remakes of Resident Evil, I should say, which is fine. But in a horde setting, it's kind of meh. But yeah, so the gameplay combat gets a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. It could have been better. But yeah, everything, I'm so invested with the Alan Wake game, the Alan Wake's universe. I want to play Control now, and I will. And yeah, it gets a 10 out of 10. The music, the sound design, everything. I am a huge music fan. So when Herald of Darkness came on, I just absolutely lost my mind. It was so good. And, and I don't mind a little reading in my games either. So, but I guess they could have toned it down a little bit with the the clues and all that, which is something that I would enjoy in my own time. But I felt like sometimes in some segments there was a lot of case solving than actual gameplay itself. And I have a lot of patience. Like I said, I don't lose patience when I'm playing games. Like I'm not like, oh, this is boring kind of thing. But there were times where it kind of felt like it was a bit overdone. But I get the nature of the game being about, you know, detective work and all that stuff. So I didn't mind it too much, but you know, maybe a little bit more balance between gameplay and that would have been, in certain parts, would have been perfect. But other than that, I think this game is amazing. And if you haven't tried it, try it. Okay, like I said, I could ramble for hours about that game. So let's see if I've played any other games here. Um, let's see. I didn't play Spider-Man, even though everyone wanted me to play it. Everyone wanted me to play Mortal Kombat as well. I'm not into. I'll talk about these games, even though I haven't played them. So I played Mortal Kombat. I think the last Mortal Kombat I played was 5, and I didn't care too much for fighting games, so I really don't care. Street Fighter, like I said, last one I played was like 5, not 5, sorry, 2, or no, it was a long time ago. I don't care too much about fighting games, so I can't judge them. Spider-Man 2, I really don't care about that. I'm sorry. Starfield, I think it's a Xbox only game, so I didn't play that. And I wasn't interested either. Zelda, I didn't play it. Don't care too much about Legend of Zelda. Let's see. Dead Island 2 either. I didn't really play that one. Wasn't interesting. Blasphemous 2. Okay, so I did play Blasphemous 2 for like 30 minutes in my own time. I ended up refunding it, not because it's bad, but because I just didn't think I would have enough time. So I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna put it on B, mostly because I haven't finished it. But Blasphemous 2 is a hidden gem. If you haven't tried Blasphemous, try it. The art style is beautiful, but it is kind of difficult. So yeah, it's a hidden gem. I think if you haven't tried Blasphemous, try it. It's amazing. But I never finished it because I felt like I wouldn't have enough time, and there's a lot of content in that game that it would take me ages to finish. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I've played. I played a few other honorable mentions that didn't come out in 2023 that I played this year have been Cyberpunk. Oh yeah, Cyberpunk came out this year. Cyberpunk, the DLC came out this year, so I would put that on tier S, mostly because I think Cyberpunk has had one of the biggest comebacks of all time. So Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, amazing, beautiful game. If you haven't tried it yet, try it. There's a lot more options for builds, very cool things. And yeah, I'm a sucker for neon stuff, right? So you know that's in my name. So futuristic stuff, I love that. And I'm excited to see more stuff like that. So yeah, Cyberpunk 2077. I also played, let's see, what other things did I play? I played Revelations 2 again, but didn't really, don't have really an opinion on that game. But yeah, I guess, yeah, that's pretty much it. I picked up Overwatch again for a period of time. I played some Fortnite. Don't really care too much about multiplayer games. But yeah, other than that, I think this is my list. If I were to pick Game of the Year, it would be Alan Wake. I would put it here. For me personally, let me know you guys' opinion on this. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Hopefully it's long enough to keep you entertained. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, leave a like, enable all notifications to know when I go live or when I upload. And if you like this kind of thing, please let me know. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.